Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hello everyone, happy Tuesday. Welcome to Primetime Local News. Or if you've already been joining us, welcome back from the commercial break. We have lots on the go today. Beyond the Boards is back because it's Tuesday, and Josh is also talking Rustlers.
Yes, not exciting for Rustlers soccer. They were swept once again over the weekend, but Rustlers volleyball got to play against the U of S Huskies, so that was exciting.
Okay, we'll look forward to that in our sports segment. And Connor is filling in for agriculture today. And he's talking safety. Yeah, safety when it comes to harvesting. So just kind of some precautions to take when you're out there as the weather starts to change, of course, with all the snow that's going to be coming. So as they try to get that all done. Yeah, and for our area producers, we are currently under a frost advisory, but I'll have those details coming up in weather. But first, we're going to toss it over to Stacy for a look at your local news.
Thanks very much, Michaela. The Interval store is asking the public for help. They have been having issues with thefts from their donation bins. The store monitors donations 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. However, anything dropped off in the evening is at risk of being stolen. Leanne Wildeman with the Interval Home says the store is a main source of income for the nonprofit.
It's really just the donations that are dropped off after hours, and then people take it upon themselves to come and go through the donations, take them, and then either resell them or damage them.
Wildeman says the store will pick up donation items every Tuesday if people aren't able to make it down during their operating hours. It's Fuel Good Day at the Lloydminster Co-op. Cassandra Hornsby reports.
5 cents from every liter sold from our 3 co-op gas bars will be donated to the breakfast program in both school divisions.
Oh, my little one, I told her, I said, today you're gonna eat free breakfast.
Every liter counts. Last year's event raised more than $6,000.
Lloydminster Co-op is owned by our membership, and our membership feel very deeply about causes that resonate with them. Supporting children, and particularly children who are hungry and need breakfast through the school breakfast programs, is something that really, it means a lot. So it was a very easy decision for us to make.
The easiest way to participate is to bring your vehicle to the gas station. A different way to show support was by coming to the charity barbecue. Burgers and soda were being sold, and the money is being donated to the breakfast program as well. Different rural schools were at each gas bar from 4 to 8 p.m.
Most people know about it and they're really happy about it. They're really filling up. They're telling their loved ones and everybody. And we're actually telling everybody to tell everybody to spread it out so everybody knows, everybody comes. This day only comes once a year. So everybody just comes and helps the community for the kids.
Cassandra Hornsby, Primetime Local News.
The Alberta government is drafting a bill to ban conversion therapy. Some here in the border cities say it does more harm than good and applaud the legislation. Brendan Collins reports.
It sends a good message, especially in a place like Lloydminster.
Cale Dudley is a member of the LGBTQ+ Society of Lloydminster, supporting the Alberta government's move to ban conversion therapy, the attempt to change one's gender identity or sexual orientation.
Having the government kind of stand in solidarity with us kind of sends a message to LGBT youth that who they are is okay and that they don't need to be changed.
Sometimes called reparative therapy, it's rejected by mainstream psychology, often called harmful pseudoscience.
They just take you and break you apart, you know what I mean?
Imagine being told over and over again that something deeply a part of you, like your gender or your sexual orientation, is wrong and that it needs to be changed. Thousands of young people have been subjected to that kind of treatment, often with long-lasting consequences.
When LGBTQ youth are rejected, they're 8 times more likely to attempt suicide, 6 times more likely to become deeply depressed, and 3 times more likely to use illicit drugs and contract STIs than their straight peers. In Canada, Ontario and Manitoba already ban conversion therapy, while Alberta and Nova Scotia are trying. The local LGBTQ+ society has made strides in visibility, with this past Pride Week being officially recognized by the city. They hope to give LGBTQ youth people to relate to.
That little sign that who they are is okay and they don't need to change is important.
Brendan Collins, Primetime Local News.
A professor from Lakeland College is raising awareness for the main source of snake mortality, roadkill. Brett Holden has more.
Because the snakes are going to get out on the road and then get run over. After a golfing trip in Manville, biologist and Lakeland instructor Darcy Shuri noticed something on the road that caught his eye.
When I was coming up to one of the local golf courses, I saw a dead snake on the road, so I jumped out because I'm one of those weirdos that grabs a location and lets the government know about dead animals on the road. And as I was looking around, I saw there was a dozen dead snakes on the road there.
With the garter snake's hibernation spot right next to the highway, this causes them to have to cross the roads, and Shuri has sent out an SOS, Save Our Snakes.
What we're trying to do is more of a community-led action here. So we're hoping to talk to the county and see if they might be interested in some actions that we could do, like putting fencing along the road and a travel corridor so they don't get run over.
Signage was another recommendation Shuri made and is hoping for others to get behind the SOS as well.
You know, most people, when it comes to wildlife conservation, they're on board. Most people like wildlife, so if it's something that's simple and isn't going to cost a lot of money and not affect a lot of people like this, probably, I think people will be on board with it.
And this is not the only affected area in the province.
And what I'd like to do is raise awareness for other areas. This isn't just the only place in Alberta where it's happening. It's happening all over. Our rattlesnakes, actually the #1 killer of them, and they're a threatened species, is roadkill.
65% of reptiles in Canada are now at risk. Brett Holden, Primetime Local News.
Turning to some agriculture news, the poor weather conditions have producers anxiously waiting to get back in the field. When it happens, it will go quickly, but with haste, there's always the need to be safe. Jordan Lampow gets some pointers on running the combine when the harvest haste kicks in.
These massive machines are raring to go, but the weather has got them sitting idle and area producers unsure of when they will get in the field. But when they get going, it will be hard and fast, so there's always a need to keep safety first.
Don't take things for granted. Make sure guys and operators are comfortable with the machines, that we've went through that with them, make them comfortable. They know what will go on in those situations. Stuff as simple as safety shields and lockouts around these machines for a reason. Don't be getting out of the cab and climbing around with things engaged. Entanglement becomes a very scary thing.
Some producers may have a new combine from Agland, but the weather has them still waiting to fully try it out.
When we come out, we go through it, show them all the features, all those things, the safety lockouts. We go through all that with the customers, make sure that they're comfortable, and then we just ask, that they share that with the rest of their team.
Another simple rule is if you must exit the combine, switch it off first.
These machines now have interlock safeties in them, so if you do get out of the seat with anything engaged, everything shuts off, and a horn will actually sound until the last moving part is done moving.
Whenever the weather smartens up, producers will then be working around the clock.
With farming, there's no short days. Nobody ever expects it to be a short day, so just I guess eating properly, getting the rest when you can, taking advantage of that. Keep your mind there, stay in contact with people, let them know where you are. So in the event that something does happen and you're expected somewhere at a certain time.
Weinkoff adds, check your surroundings if you have to reverse, and as well, other drivers, please be patient with our farmers at this busy time.
Be aware of your surroundings, watch for power lines, know where everyone is, and just have a safe harvest.
Gerard Lampow, Primetime Local News.
The Weather Network says the prairies will see a gentler, milder fall this year, even though Alberta has already seen snow. Chief Meteorologist Chris Scott says it may seem like the region has plummeted into an early winter over the past 10 days, but that won't last. Scott says the region will see some milder weather, especially through October. And while November might hold some snowy surprises, temperatures won't drop into the -20s as they sometimes do in the second or third week of the month. Scott is also forecasting drier than normal conditions across southern Alberta, with near to slightly below normal precipitation anticipated elsewhere in the prairies. Well, that's it for agriculture news. Sports is up next, but first, here's your agriculture prices.
City Center Auto Body is proud to offer the paintless dent removal system. This works by going behind the panel, working out small dents. Lloydminster's trusted auto body shop for over 35 years.
Hockey players have many habits that come from either daily attention to detail or sometimes just superstition. And perhaps there's no better example than how they tape their sticks. In this week's Beyond the Boards, we look at how the Lloydminster Bobcats differ in style but not in tension when it comes to their tape job. As they reach higher levels of competition, athletes become creatures of habit. For hockey players, there are several ticks that define their preparation before competing, from which shin guard goes on first to how much and what kind of tape goes on a stick.
That's right when you get to the rink or 10 minutes before you go on the ice. It's part of the routine.
For a task that's carried out by every team member, the way it's done drastically differs.
It's based on preference and a little bit of superstition. I won't tape my stick unless it really needs to be. I'm not crazy superstitious about that, but I will tape it the same way every time.
If we end up losing or whatever, I'll change the color of my tape. So just do a little thing to switch it up, get a new feel on it. I don't know.
Players also vary in how often they have to retape, with some doing so daily and others weekly.
I'm a guy that just retapes for games. I don't find a big deal in practice, but I definitely like a fresh tape job for the game.
The precision and amount of tape used can make a number of other differences for a stick's functionality, whether it changes the cushioning feel while receiving a pass or grip during a face-off.
I play center and I like to slide my top hand down when I'm taking a draw. So I like to still have it on the tape though. So when I slide, I have a long enough knob so when I slide it down that I can still be on the tape.
And to further solidify a tape job, players can add other elements.
You have more control when your tape's clean, and you got, some guys use wax.
It helps keep snow off your tape, so it helps you cushion the puck better, have more control.
Beyond the Boards is brought to you by City Center Auto Body. At City Center Auto Body, they can fix anything, now on both sides of the border.
That's it for me in sports, but we're going to head back to Brittany for more.
Darren Barber joins me now from Alberta Health Services. So now this is your first time being at this conference here, isn't that right?
Yes, it is. Yeah, first time here.
And now what is your role with Alberta Health Services?
So my role is a Central Zone Director of Emergency and Disaster Management. So our role is to making sure that all of our services and sites are ready to respond to and recover from emergencies and disasters that may affect their ability to deliver services.
So you're going in and doing a lot of pre-planning in case something does happen?
Absolutely. The bulk of our work is in that pre-planning stage before the disaster happens. So when the disaster happens, they simply activate all the plans and training that we've put in place in advance. So our goal is to make sure that those responses happen very smoothly.
So now what kinds of things are you sharing here with the City of Lloydminster today and the surrounding area, their emergency services that are here?
Sure. So we had to kind of pick and choose what we were going to talk about because there's a whole myriad of things. So we decided to talk about the AHS support to emergency social services, so evacuation centers, how we're going to better support them not only from an inspection side with our environmental health folks, but also all the health services that these people might need while they're being evacuated. And the second part of that was to talk about a relatively new initiative, psychosocial response. So not only supporting them from a physical standpoint, but also supporting those who may be experiencing more of a traumatic response to the event. Everyone's stressed, but some will experience this much more negatively. So we want to make sure we catch those folks before they have too much of a severe outcome.
And now, Darren, tell me, what is your overall impression of the conference so far today?
Oh, fantastic. I was blown away when I walked in the door at how many people are here today, and all the vendors and the municipal representatives. It's just amazing to have I think there was 175 people here. Just fantastic to have this kind of turnout. Shows how seriously they take emergency preparedness in this part of our zone.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing that with our viewers. But right now, we're just going to head right back on over to the studio, and we're going to check in with weather to see what's going on in this week's forecast.
Well, we do have a weather forecast coming up, as Brittany mentioned to you there. First, we got this beautiful shot sent in by Kendra. Thank you so much. If you want to see your weather snapshot here on Primetime Local News, do send that in to us by email or on any of our social media platforms, and we'll be sure to use that. Just make sure you send your name along with that. Looking to some of our numbers, but before we get there, we're going to go into our watches and warnings. All of this is all a frost advisory. The cloud cover will be coming in and out throughout the day. We could see some fog moving in throughout tomorrow, which means frost advisory is in effect, so do cover up your plants if they are still outdoors. Currently sitting at 8 here in the border city, feels more like 7, and yes, that frost advisory is in effect for the area. Records for this time, 25 degrees back in 2008, and then -6 in 1991. Not really near either of those. Fortunately for the minus, unfortunately for the 25 degrees. Looking at our current temperatures across the map, sitting at 8 degrees in high level. Fort McMurray sitting at 9. And then pretty much basically 8s and 7s across the board. And then as we move along, 6 degrees in Whitecourt, 9 in Jasper, 7 in Rocky Mountain House, and then a little bit warmer as we move up. Red Deer sitting at 10 degrees there, Athabasca at 9. Cold Lake sitting at 7 and 8 degrees in Meadow Lake. And then as we move a little bit further, Banff sitting at 6, same with Calgary, a little bit warmer in Lethbridge. Medicine Hat going into the double digits, sitting at 11. And then Estevan, a warmer spot across both provinces today at 13 currently. As we look for our numbers tomorrow, sitting at 11 here, same within Maidstone. North Battleford going to go 1 degree warmer to 12 degrees, 13 in Macklin and Provost. And then pretty much below the seasonal averages right across the board, 11 in Edmonton and as well as St. Paul. Bonnyville and Lac La Biche also sitting at 11. So we look at our next 24 hours. There's the cloud cover and the precipitation that is moving in towards the area. And that precipitation could be starting Thursday night into Friday. For those kids catching the school bus tomorrow, going to be 4 degrees outside at 8 a.m. Recess should be a little bit warmer at 6 degrees, and then lunchtime 9, and then when you head home 11 degrees, which is our daytime high. Averages for this time of the year are 16 and 3 for the low, and as you look across the board, we're not near that. 11 degrees for the high, and then Thursday is when that snow could start to come. Hopefully it holds off until the evening, 40% chance during the day. And then Friday, 63% chance, and that is a rain-snow mix, and that's going to continue into the weekend on Saturday, 74% chance there. 3 for the high, as well as on Sunday. Monday, 7 degrees, and then we hit the negatives overnight, so we could have more frost, and that snow could be sticking, unfortunately. I'll have more details later in the show.
Prime-time local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Hockey is back in the border city with youth teams practicing, the AJHL season underway, and Oilers fans tuning into exhibition play. Here's Josh Ryan's conversation with Gene Principe about the game at the Evening of Champions earlier this month.
As you said, there's a lot of red and blue here for sure. Do you get the sense that Northern Alberta really feels like a community in general because there's so many Oilers fans, but so many businesses even are connected to each other and so many organizations are connected to each other?
Yeah, I really think that it's something that you kind of have to live here to feel it, to understand it, and to go through it. And I mean, these communities, I don't want to say that Lloyd doesn't have its specialties and its specific attractions, but there's so many cities this size, maybe even smaller, that if you took away the welcome to, what would you get? You get people who love sports, people who love community, people who are dedicated, people who are committed, people you can trust, and you also get a love for sports, whatever the sport might be. So, and I just find Lloydminster as being kind of one of those places that everything I just said applies.
Absolutely. And now, as you said, you've been through Lloydminster many times. You've sort of been able to meet with the Bobcats as they've sort of had an up and down history, certainly in recent years. What's your interactions with them been like, and with any particular players, if you remember any reactions or recollections off the top of your head?
Yeah, I do remember, well, specifically Bart Redden. Wade's brother was playing for the Lloydminster club at the Allen Cup back in 2005. And I just remember, to be honest with you, we were here for about 4 or 5 days. Back then, those of your viewers who may remember, Theo Fleury was playing for the Horse Lake Thunder. So it kind of became a bit of a attraction that maybe you wouldn't normally see in an Allen Cup, to have this Stanley Cup winner and Hockey Hall of Famer, you know, all these things in a player who, and a guy too who was not just a player, but obviously quite vocal, and someone who in the most recent years has really kind of turned his life around and become a role model for kids on sometimes things not going well or not going right, and able to fix them a little bit later in life. And I just saw Theo at the Jerome McGinley press conference for when he retired, and he's a great guy and has become a real upstanding member of the community. And so I just remember the people here were kind of happy to see us, first off, that the event in the city was getting this kind of coverage, and they were just real friendly, and they wanted to talk, imagine this, hockey.
Yeah. Imagine that in a true Canadian blue-collar town. Now, with this event, obviously this is different than your day job throughout the season with the Oilers. I'm not going to ask you if you take pride in doing it, because I'm sure you do, but why would this kind of event be special to you, or why is this kind of event special to you in a way that your regular job isn't?
Well, I think that the biggest thing is that you and I, we're talking to a camera, right?
Yeah.
But what we know is that behind the camera, there's a bunch of people who are watching you when you do your sports, who are hopefully watching me when I'm doing my work with the Edmonton Oilers. And the people here are those people. You know, I talk to them through a camera, and then it kind of gets translated to them. Where tonight, I have an opportunity to talk to them face to face and directly, and we can talk about Connor McDavid, we can talk about the power play, we can talk about last season, we can talk about what's going to happen this season. So it's just a great opportunity to come into a community that loves its sports, that loves its Oilers, and get a chance to go face to face with people, and we kind of cut the camera out, at least for one night.
And that's it for our news tonight. Let's check in with Brittany at the Bordering on Disaster Conference.
Ernie Paulson joins me now from the city of Lloydminster, and we were just talking off camera about, you know, what a big turnout this has been today for the conference.
Yeah, we're truly excited and honored that all of these professionals came to spend the day with us to learn and share experiences together.
And what kinds of things are we hoping that all the participants get out of the conference?
I think what we're hoping is that it's just a knowledge sharing. We all go through different experiences as we move through our emergency planning and emergency management careers. This is about bringing it all together, sharing the things that worked, the things that didn't, and helping each other be better.
So give me some examples of things that the participants are going to be hearing and talking about today.
We're going to hear a lot of things, actually, from basic agreements like regional mutual aid agreements, where we get municipalities, First Nations, and Métis settlements together, working together in a planned format, to how industry is working with us, governments, provincial and federal governments' roles in programs, just a broad array of things that are of interest to emergency managers in the communities they serve.
And why is this so important for our region?
I think it's really important from a city perspective. It's a really neat opportunity to provide leadership and start to bring people together. I think from a regional perspective, none of us are big enough to do this on our own. We need to be joined up. We need to be linked up. And you start that with relationships, getting to know each other and having just a positive relationship.
Well, it looks like they're going to get going back here again at the conference shortly. But before we go, share with us, there is another keynote speaker that's coming today from Kelowna. Share a little bit about him for us.
So Ron is the retired city manager for Kelowna, and he's been there since 2003. So he has experience with all of the fires and all of that. So he's going to talk about disasters from a municipal perspective and a recovery perspective. Now, that's a very different thing. We have a tendency to think when the fire's out, life is good. Well, he's going to talk to us about what life looks like after the fire's out and as you start to rebuild your community.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for all of that. Thank you. And we're just going to head right back over to the studio now and check in with them and see what's going on. Thanks so much. Brittany's been down at the conference all day, and Connor and I had a chance to MC that today. So thank you so much for having us. We had a great time. But talking about social media today, the trailer for Captain Marvel came out. Now, I'm not a big superhero fan, but Connor, were you wowed?
I wasn't wowed, but I just enjoyed it because like we got those photos a few weeks ago, and now we finally see the first footage. I mean, it looks promising, so that I think it brings a lot of Marvel fans a lot of high hopes. So.
Yeah, and what about you? Are you excited to see Brie Larson in this role?
I am excited to see Brie Larson in this role. I wasn't wowed by the trailer. I think there's just such a high bar set by Marvel that this seemed kind of pedestrian as far as trailers go, but I'm still very excited to see the movie.
Okay,
There's a lot of promising
it's not going to defer you from seeing the movie?
No, it just seemed like any other superhero trailer. Everything else about the movie looks interesting and promising.
All right, well, Josh Ryan, I'm sure will give you his review once that's out. And now it's the time of the show. It's my favorite time where we get to Pets of the Day. So let's take a look at some of these. This one was Lucy, and this was sent in by Kristen. Thank you so much for saying that in. Aww. And this is, I pronounced this wrong, so what's the
Jeter.
Jeter.
Like Derek Jeter.
Jeter. Okay, well, there we go. Jeter is a good boy waiting for his birthday cookie there. And this is Tessa. This was sent in by Brenna. Super cute photo. And then this is Carlos with his neighborhood cat friends. Looks like they were having a meeting. That was sent in by Joanna. And then this, last but not least, is Romeo. And that was sent in by Donna. So please keep those pets of the day coming. Send them to us on social media. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more Primetime Local News.
Welcome, I'm Brett Holden, and John from the SPCA has brought in a couple absolute flowers with us in this week's pet project. What can you tell me about Crocus and Orchid here?
Well, these two actually came into the shelter with their mom, Daffodil, who we featured a few weeks ago on Pet Project. And these guys are in one of our cat condos right now, so they're hanging with about 3 other kittens right now, and they just absolutely love it. They love the other cats. They really enjoy just having that extra bit of space to run around and be kittens. And they're certainly, this morning, when I came to get them to bring them to the studio, they were right away up at the front and eager to go. So both are absolutely adorable fellas here.
Yeah, and I mean, Crocus is definitely, she's been in my arms for at least 5 minutes now. So they're siblings, hey?
Yeah, you bet. They're actually both boys, and very laid back. Yeah. I know I was the same. The staff named them, and I didn't realize that flowers. I thought that they were girls, but had to look at my information a little closer there this morning and realize that they were both boys. But yeah, they're absolutely two handsome fellas and super friendly, and all they need now is to find that special home, and whether it's together or separate, or even if you have cats at home, these guys are going to settle in real quick, and yeah, they'll just be a a joy. They're that perfect age where they're curious, but they're not completely. Sometimes when they're really young kittens, you always have to worry about them maybe getting into things, whereas this age they're a little bit more savvy. So it's a good age.
Yeah, no, and before we were playing with the with some of the stuff here on set, and I mean, Orchid was all over, but Crocus I think is pretty mellow right now.
Yeah, he seems to be just enjoying the limelight here. Like he's really promoting himself well, which is great. Yeah, so even kittens can be calm sometimes.
So what are you mentioned with kind of the weather now, having you still have your promotion going for the corporate visits, hey?
Yes, for sure. So we do have our corporate volunteer program. And that's a great way, especially with this winter weather where people are maybe getting a little bit of those early kind of winter blues. They can arrange by contacting the SPCA to either come down and visit us and spend some time with the animals, or with the program too, if you're not able to bring the team down, we can bring whether it's some kittens or a dog to come visit you in the studio, or pardon me, at the office, and say hi and spread a little bit of love. And we find that really can bring some cheer around the office, especially when you're dealing with middle of September and it feels like it's middle of October.
How has kind of the turnout been so far with the program?
Well, we've had definitely a few people that have called and expressed interest in it. I think that certainly in the summertime, a lot of people were out of the office, and now that it's sort of back to work and summer vacations are over, now would be a perfect time. And we certainly encourage people to give us a call and we'll try to get something scheduled as soon as possible for a visit.
Perfect. Thank you, John.
No problem.
That has been Pet Project with two beautiful mellow cats, Crocus and Orchid.
Pet Project is brought to you by Quick Pick Waste Disposal, Lloydminster's #1 waste and recycling hauler. Quick Pick is waste collection you can depend on.
I'm Courtney Ray from 93.7 Wayne FM and Boom 101.9, and here's what's happening in the Wainwright area. Today is Fuel Good Day at the Cornerstone Co-op Gas Bar in Wainwright. For every liter sold, 5 cents will be donated back to the Wainwright Arts Council. There's still some time to head down there, fuel up, and support this great little organization in our community. Fuel Good Day is also going on in Vermilion, St. Paul, and Lloydminster. Check out the 11th Annual Scarecrow Festival on Saturday, September 29th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the library and 3rd Ave. There will be scarecrow competitions, wacky vegetable creature competitions, children's activities, an outdoor market, and so much more. This year's theme, Heroes and Villains. Head over to their website, wainwrightlibrary.ab.ca for registration forms for the competition and more details about the festival. Calling all kayak and canoe owners, an official application has been submitted to the Guinness Book of World Records to break the record for the longest canoe and kayak parade on water. The attempt will be on Monday, October 8th on the Vermilion River at the Vermilion Provincial Park. If you would like to volunteer and help with this event, register, or get more info, please contact Darlene at 780-808-3430 or Crawford Darlene at rocketmail.com. If you have an event you would like us to feature on What's Happening in Wainwright, please email us at waynefm@newcap.ca.